Do you want to crush your DNC evaluation when you go to BLC? Go ahead and lock in. I got you.
Roger, sir.
All right, so welcome back to the Roger Sarn podcast where we talk all things Army. And today we're going to be talking about your DNC evaluation when you go to BLC. But before we start that, let me go ahead and give a shout out to AK Savala. And AK Savala says, "Hey, thanks for doing this interview. My son is heading off to West Point this year and wants to fly for the Army. We appreciate the detailed process on how that happens. The leadership advice was helpful as well. Best regards." And this is just talking about to an interview that I did with one of my best buddies, Captain Shaffrin. And he not only is an Army pilot, and not only was he previously enlisted, he's also an actor. So go ahead and watch that video. I'll pin it up here somewhere. Let's move into the agenda. So how to crush your DNC evaluation. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over the rubric. Once we go over the rubric, we're going to watch a video. And a shout out to specialists at the time, Nicholas Thorpe, which is the one that did the video for us. And then we're going to just conclude and wrap it all up. So first thing that we want to look at, when you go to BLC, every single assessment or evaluation has a rubric. So make sure you lock into those rubrics and you read them, because if you don't, you're going to be super upset. So the first thing that you have with the DNC evaluation, it's worth 100 points. There's 20 commands. So what does that mean? Quick maths, 5 points per command. The first thing you want to do is form the squad. You're going to come to the position of attention. You're going to yell the command, fall in. If you'll notice, there's not a comma. So there's no preparatory command to this. When you do DNC, there's a preparatory command and a command of execution. At this point, it's just fall in. Then the next command is count, comma, off. So preparatory command, command of execution. Make sure you give them that time. Then you're going to align the squad. You're going to do that by saying dress right, dress. When you do that, and I want you to really pay attention to this, because on number 5, you'll see that it says faces to the half left in marching. And when we watch the video, I will point it out so you understand this, because not everything you do in DNC is a facing movement. Okay? So let's keep going. Faces to the left, half left as in marching, and marches by the most direct route in a position on line with the squad, halts one step from the right flank man and faces down the line. Then the next thing is you're going to verify your alignment. Then you're going to face to the half right as in marching and return to your position, which is the center of the squad. You're going to be perpendicular to the formation and then faces to the left. That's a facing movement. Number 8 is ready, front, and then you execute an about face and face your SGL. It says it right there. Next is going to be inspect the squad. Now this right here, they're going to tell you that. Your facilitator is going to tell that. And it says right there, do not exchange salutes, execute an about face. Then number 9, you're going to see where it says marches forward and to the left, inclining until at a point of 15 inches in front of the center, in front and center from the squad member. So you have to be 15 inches from. And then you're going to remain at a modified position of attention with your head, moving your head and eyes only. And you will see how they do, how specialist at the time, Thorpe, did it, and he did it very good. He made sure there's no error. After inspecting the center position, you take a short step forward and to the left and inspects. Then you return to the center and steps forward and to the right and inspects. Then returns to the center, faces to the right as in march and takes 2 steps, halts, and faces the next member. And then you repeat as necessary until you go all the way down the line. Once you go all the way down the line, you're going to inspect. After you inspect the last soldier, the squad leader faces to the right as in marching. And I will point this out because this is huge. and marches around the squad, inclining as necessary. While the squad leader marches back to his post, he inspects the squad from the rear. Now, after resuming his post facing the squad leader commands at ease. Then you execute an about face. Then you assume at ease. The next portion of the assessment is march the squad. The facilitator is going to tell you march the squad. You assume the position of attention, make an about face, and then the command is squad attention, right face from 14, and then forward march. From 15 all the way down to 19, it is in no specific order. I say again, it's no specific order. But I will give you the order. Actually, Specialist Thorpe does a good job of the order that we would suggest when I was an instructor at BLC. Last thing you must do, once you say squad halt, once you're doing all your columns, your half rights, your right flanks and left flanks and rear marches, you have to come to a command of halt. Now, it doesn't specifically say mark time march, but you can do. We used to have them do that because when you just come to an abrupt halt, it's kind of weird. Make sure that you check with your SGL because each BLC is different. They have their little nicks in how they focus on things, but make sure you talk to them. But we would make sure that they would be able to do the mark time march so it can make them feel more comfortable. Plus, it's natural. Then the last thing is dismiss the squad. You have to say dismissed. I can't tell you how many times I've had soldiers just walk away after they say squad halt right phase and then just fall out or something like that. It's not fall out. It's dismissed. And it says it right there. If it's in quotations, that means you have to specifically say it. All right, I'm off my soapbox. Let's go ahead into the video. And I want to preface this by saying that this video is the video that has the least amount of errors that I found on the internet. I'm telling you, Specialist at the time, Thorpe, did a very good job. He was very deliberate, but I do want to point out when he does make mistakes so you understand what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and watch.
Ball in. Count off. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now I'm going to pause this real fast. What the squad does not affect your grade. And why do I pause it and say this? Because when you say count off, they are supposed to look, the number 2, 3, and 4 man are supposed to look to their right. And they didn't. Is that a mark on you? Not at all. But just know that when you guys are practicing, because it could throw you off.
Just right. Dress.
Looks down the line. Looks down the line. Goes back. As in marching. Left over right. Did you see that? Left over right. That's faces to the right as in marching. And I just want you guys to understand that faces to the half right. I apologize. Faces to the half right. And he also stepped off the same way with a half left as in marching. So doing good so far.
Ready. Front.
Inspect your squad.
There you go. About 15 inches. And look how he looks up and down deliberately. 45, up and down. He makes sure that there's no way to say that he did not look up and down. And you saw when he goes back to the center, he didn't look up and down because you don't have to. Now, here is one issue right there. If you look at, which one is it? Number 9, where it says takes faces to the right as in marching and takes 2 steps and halts. You'll see that he continues to take more than 2 steps. So make sure that your guys are aligned correctly, or you take that exaggerated left over right. You have to take 2 steps. That will knock 5 points off of number 9. Let's continue. And then he repeats as necessary. He doesn't have to look again. See that? Left over right. 1, 2. Should be 2. Then the facing movement. Other than that, he's doing an excellent job. Now watch his faces to the half right as in marching. It's left over right. Here he goes. Left over right. And he walks around. Now look how deliberate he looks up and down. He makes sure that the SGL, when they grade him, that they're not going to mistake anything. Resumes his post. At ease. Ooh, that thing crisp.
March squad.
March the squad. Now, before we continue, I want to point out beforehand that he's going to call multiple right foot commands on his left. So let's get that out the way. So when you do a rear march, you're going to call it on your right foot, and then you're going to do the command of execution on the next step, which is on the next right foot step. And then you're going to do the same thing with the right flank. And you'll do the same thing with the column rights and the column half rights. So just watch. Don't pay attention to his feet, but pay attention to the order in which he's going to use. Let's continue.
Squad up and turn. Right, face. Forward, march. Left. Left. Rear, march. Left. 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 Rear. March. Left.
Let me pause real fast. Another thing is when you do a preparatory command, when your next command foot strikes the ground, you have to call it. If not, you have to say as you were. When you say rear, the next right foot has to say march. You can't say rear, march for about half a mile, and then say march, okay? And anytime you mess up, just say as you were, and then you continue. Let's continue.
Left. Right flank. March. Left.
See, he calls it on his left.
Left flank. March.
That's perfect. Oh, that's perfect. Crispy.
Left. Column left. March. Left. Left. Column left. March. Left. 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 Column right. March. Left. Left. Column left. March. Left.
And that's another thing. You can call as many columns as you want to. You want to say column left 3 times, you can do it. As long as you say it 1 time.
Column half right. March. Left. Column half left. March. Left. Left. Squad. Halt.
So he used a squad halt method. And you see how that kind of messes him up a little bit? Now, you see that he took a few steps back, and that just comes from obviously inexperience. You're in BLC, and it's your first time doing these marching, so that's expected. But when you are marching, you have to make sure you're using your riffles, your peripherals, and you keep that distance, especially when you know you're coming to that squad halt. You start separating yourself enough to make sure that you're good to go.
Left, face. Dismiss.
Dismissed. He said perfect. This is what you need to understand, okay? Let's go ahead and wrap this up. But before we wrap it up, I want to give you what the order is when you're doing your DNC. As soon as you forward march them, you do a rear march, you do another rear march to get them back to your combat site. Then you do a right flank, you do a left flank out of that. Then you do a column left, column right, column half left, column half right. Then that's it. Then it's squad halt or mark time marked squad halt. That is the proven method, and you see that he did it. He kind of had his hiccups, and that's expected when you're going to BLC. And the last thing I want to say is when you go to BLC and you're doing your DNC, make sure that you pick a space that's open enough that you're not navigating through the barracks or wherever it is that you are, through cars and stuff like that. Just make sure that you pick a sizable spot to do all your commands. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas for the show, or want to be on the show, go ahead and email me at rogersarn@gmail.com. If you found any of this information to be helpful, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share it out. Go ahead and follow me on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And all of those are at Rogersarn. And again, remember, you don't have to embrace the suck if you got the right tools in your ruck. I'm Sarn Cruz, and I'm out. Peace.
Roger, Sarn.